am shitting it. I'm so nervous. United, I think I could see them getting a result here. I mean, they are absolutely quality, and I just don't see how we are going to put up with the threat that they possess. Obviously, that's absolutely lies.
To Lisandro Martinez, and Martinez scores. Man United are 1-0 up.
Lisandro Martinez. Of course it's Lisandro Martinez. In hell.
We concede a goal to Manchester United, ladies and gentlemen.
That stupid rat.
Into the penalty area. Bruno, he's found Martinez. Martinez, 1-0.
Garnacho's cross.
Oh my God, Diallo equalizes. Oh my God, Diallo equalizes. We fall asleep and we have no control and we just conceded the shittest goal.
Apa ini kawan? Ya Allah, 2-0. Aduh, ini gimana ini? Aduh.
Give us faith so we'll be saved.
Oh, my God, my God, my God. I feel sick. I feel sick. Wow, it's not too hot. It's down that right-hand side again from Trent. Are you having a laugh? How is that lad still on the pitch?
We just conceded the shittest goal right there. Our defense is so open. Oh my God.
Paraphrasing here, you are all predicting 3, 4, 5 goals to Liverpool, a beat down, and United getting slapped up. Am I right?
Why'd you try to add 3 goals in there, Terry? Come on. We're starting at 4. We're starting at least 4 or 5. You guys are about to get sacrificed. 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 Sacrificed.
I was waiting for a stampy.
Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing on this Monday. It is beautiful, wondrous, quite chilly, but warming the cockles of my heart watching that intro video. The humbling was amazing. Yes, it wasn't a win. And yes, I understand that you shouldn't celebrate draws if you're part of Standard FC. But people were predicting 3s and 4s and 5s, 12-0 as some people sent me, just for us to play well. It was amazing to have Arnie slot. Tottenham United made too many long balls, 7 more than they did in the game, as an example. Man United made Liverpool fans turn on Trent. Man United made Liverpool fans out. All the things I've criticised Trent for, they've defended him for 5, 6, 7 years. Yesterday, gone, finished. It was an amazing day, a brilliant weekend. We've got an excellent panel for you. An excellent, excellent panel today. Igal is here. And by the way, I want to say congratulations, Igal, on the announcement. Your wife pregnant with your second baby. So congratulations, my friend. Big up, big up, big up.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to everyone also. Appreciate it. Yeah, man. Fatherhood, man. I'm trying to catch up to you. You already have a basketball team.
Yes, I'm on 3. Yeah, don't do any more than 3. After 3, it's madness, bruv. But yes, it's a great thing being a parent. So bless up, bruv. Nobbins is here with us, looking great, looking fine. Who also recently, in case anyone didn't know, got engaged. She said yes, so well done to you.
Thanks.
Yeah,
man.
well done. Were you nervous when you asked? You think she was going to say no, or you knew she'd say yes?
We've been together nearly 10 years, so and we have a mortgage together, so I was pretty confident. Yeah.
And shot a fish in a barrel. Do you know what I mean? He did it though. We've got Henry here. Henry talks nonsense. How are you, mate? You're getting married soon, aren't you?
Yeah, 9 months today. To the end of my life. No, I'm joking. 9 months today until we will officially be officially
Mr. and Mrs. Talks Football. Nice.
Yeah, Mr. and Mrs. Talks Bollocks, yeah.
I love it. And David is here with us. David is too young to have kids. David is too young to be married. How are you though, mate? You good?
I'm fine. I'm single, just living life.
Yeah. We had a lot of
Live
chats
your
about that.
life.
No, it did. Yeah, the video, by the way, of Staffy is just, honestly, it's one of my favorite videos. Do you know what I love about it as well? It was real. It was real. I spoke to Staffy today, and he said that he knew he shouted, but he didn't realize he screamed. It wasn't until he was out later on in the day at lunch that a friend played it back to him, and he was like, "Oh my god, I screamed!" It's just great, and you could tell that and it reminded me. Do you remember Marv, who screams in Home Alone when the spider gets put on him? That's exactly what he sounds like. But also, we watch it again. Watch him fall to the floor. His head reappeared. Like he hit the ground really hard as well. That's the funniest bit. Like he hit the ground super duper hard as well. So loads to talk about today. Obviously covering Arsenal, covering Tottenham, covering Chelsea. Bad weekends for them, but a big week ahead for Arsenal with the Carabao Cup semi-final. Big game against Manchester United as well. Some transfers to delve into. Yes, then the North London derby in a week, but a massive week for Arsenal, really. Then we're going to delve into some of the transfer stories as well. So stay with the Football Terrace for the next couple of hours or so. But I am going to start with, for me, it is the biggest derby in England. It's the biggest game in English football, Liverpool versus Man United. And before we get into the wheres and the whats, I did think it was one of the best games of football that I've seen. I don't know about you guys as neutrals to it. It felt like one of the best games of football in a long time.
It was the best game of the season, I would say. Back and forth, constant, everything. It was very entertaining for me watching that. Not as one of the fans. I think Liverpool fans would probably say it's not entertaining, but I think everyone found it very entertaining. It was a lot more. You know what? It was a lot more quality for Manchester United than I expected in this game, and I just want to. Congratulations to you guys. I'm gonna get into details in a bit, but I don't want to take away from it. Let everyone else say their bit first.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think it's partly the surprise that we all thought it was going to be. Well, actually, one thing I will say, putting me in that edit before we could get onto this game, putting me in that edit when I was the only one on that show who said that Man United might surprise people, right, is criminal. But by that, I think most people, it was the surprise of, oh yeah, we think it's going to be 4-0, 5-0. Oh, if United get a goal, they've done well. And then before you knew it, after like 10, 15 minutes, you were like, no, this is actually going to be a game. And it was close. And United should have been winning. They should have been winning this game. They had the chances to.
Was Zerski offside?
And it was really good. It's one of the first times in a while I was watching a game that's not involving my team, and I'm shouting like, "Oh my god, what? No way!" Like I was up and down as well. I was a bit like Staffy. Just no, there's no camera there.
Was Zerski offside? Or am I tripping?
They haven't shown us officially. It looked offside. What didn't look offside, there was Garnacho 5-10 minutes earlier when we were in the ascendancy. I've seen the screenshots. I've seen the videos. I mean, you've got to do the lines, but I did think the refs did everything they could yesterday to try and ruin the game, I felt. I know the Litz penalty was a penalty, but there were some other decisions that were awful. I mean, they gave a free kick to them, edge of the box. I mean, Trent didn't take it, thankfully, but Maguire won the ball so cleanly. How that was given as a free kick was absolutely beyond me. But I agree. I thought it was a really entertaining game yesterday. And I'm the other way to you, David. I was annoyed my team was involved in it. I always want my team dominant, all of the ball, conceding no chances. But it was a really entertaining game. And where I was proud of the boys is they kept on trying to win. And for me, I've been saying this for like 5, 6, 7 weeks. There's an idea here that I like with Amorim, and I hope he gets supported under this rebuild that we're doing. But he needed time on the training ground. And I was really impressed with the fact that 1 week of training, and you could already see a difference in the players, more of a confidence in them, as an example. I don't want to be too negative because that's not really how I am in my normal disposition. I agree with everything Amorim said afterwards, though. I'm annoyed because we should have put this level of effort into the and some of you boys have been on this show with me for years. How often I talk about work rate mentality, passion comes above, is more important than the skill, because without it, the skill means nothing. Every Man United player yesterday that spoke about what was the difference said it: mentality, energy, passion. And I just want to see more of that now. So yeah, an amazing game. I think a brilliant spectacle for the Premier League. By no means a Man United back. By no means have we turned a corner. I would never make that statement. But in isolation to yesterday, I think we humbled a lot of Liverpool. There was a lot of joking, a lot of bantering. I almost feel maybe some of that crept into the dressing room a little bit. And this is why I let it go all week. I even joined in the morning. The amount of abuse I got yesterday, boys, because I tweeted out, please call the game off, Premier League, it's dangerous. I was only saying that as a joke. I was sharing pictures of polar bears outside Anfield saying, be careful, managers might get eaten. And people are thinking I was serious, right? Genuinely. And I did everything I could this week, to try and make more people write us off, because I always feel there's a chance that seeps into the dressing room, if that makes sense. But we have some breaking news. Starbucks says, Terry, you liar. Well, it isn't. And the difference is, I don't care if you think I'm a liar in reality, because I always talk about the football gods and this type of thing and this behavior. So, yeah, I just played into it. Just absolutely let it go. And you've got to learn to do that more. But some breaking news. We'll come back to this game in a moment. David Ornstein bomber in January, which we all like to see. And that is that Tottenham, Manchester United, and Juventus are all actively exploring a deal to sign Kolo Muani on loan from Paris Saint-Germain. It says here that Tottenham, Man United, and Juve express an interest, are currently viewed as the top contenders to bring him in on loan. Good. Let me throw that out there. Let's just put Juve aside for a moment. For Man United and Tottenham, would Kolo Muani be a good piece of business this January?
Good for Man United, not good for Tottenham, because we'd have to restructure our wage bill to bring him in. He's on 180,000 euros, which is going to put him roughly on the same amount of Timo Werner. Yes, we need a forward. He's predominantly a number 9. Now, before anyone bites my head off, I personally at this moment in time would take Dominic Solanke over him. He's not played barely any football for PSG this season. He was good at Frankfurt. He wasn't great at the last World Cup he played in. And I think he's only scored 1 goal in 11 games this season. I would much rather Tottenham go out there and get a wide player who can actually beat their man rather than relying on Brennan Johnson and Timo Werner. Like, yes, he probably would improve our squad overall, but I don't think he's what we need. I look at Man United, I think you need a little more consistency up front than I would say than what, Xerxes and Højlund are giving you. Is Kolo Muani that guy? Probably not. I think if he's going to go anywhere, it is going to be Juve. There's links with Dusan Vlahovic leaving. Could he be the replacement? The Juventus already know that he may be on the way out. But for Tottenham, I'm not going to lie. I think we need a centre-back. Should be the priority. We've got no Romero or Van der Ven to the end of this month, and we've got to play Liverpool, Everton away, and Arsenal in that run. And then Man United and City come February. So if just from looking at this selfishly, from Tottenham's perspective, I don't really want the guy. He's going to come in and be our second highest paid player, and I don't really think he's better than our current number 9. So that's just kind of where I sit.
I'd always be cautious of the elite clubs wanting to, or rather being happy with their players going out on loan, to be honest. As I understand it, it's been a bit of an issue, like in the dressing room, I believe, at PSG. I don't know how. I do think that United do need to upgrade up front, but I don't know what the appeal of a short-term loan would be personally.
It's only going to be 6 months as well.
Yeah,
it's going to be the end of the season. Like you're going to bring in a guy that has scored 1 goal in Ligue 1 playing for the biggest team.
Is that right? Just 1 goal, yeah.
He's got apparently. One or 2 league goals, whatever it is. He's not in great form. You're bringing in a guy that Dominic Solanke or Højlund must be thinking, well, hang on, what's going on here? The likelihood is Tottenham will get dunked out of the League Cup by Liverpool, so we'll only be in the FA Cup, the Europa League, and let's be honest, the Premier League is completely shot to pieces for us. We're closer to the relegation zone than we are the Premier League, but is he better than Rasmus Højlund? This is a guy that was supposed to go into PSG and be one of their replacements for for the Mbappes and the Neymars of the world that leave, and now they're talking about loaning him out for 6 months. Like,
yeah. If I was a United fan, I'd look at that and feel like we can do better here. I just instinctively, I feel like we can do better here than Kolo Muani. No disrespect to him, but again, my first port of call is what's the motivation for PSG allowing him to go out on loan? Because they're not going to let, Barcola, for example, they're really exciting wide player. They're not going to let him go out on loan, are they? They're going to want to keep him.
Well, they paid for the equivalent of one of the trophies yesterday. I don't know how you pronounce it because he's obviously French. Dave was probably better than me at it. But they started Ousmane Dembele up front.
Or Cunha.
Yeah.
You weren't on the last show. You won't get that French reference, but there we go.
They started Ousmane Dembele up front, who's predominantly a right winger, over him. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know.
At this moment in time, is he a guaranteed improvement on Rasmus Højlund and what's it called, Zertsky? I don't think so. The number one guy you guys should be going for is lining up that summer transfer move for Gyökeres. And if you want a short-term striker, the guy you should be really going for is Victor Osimhen. Everyone really should be looking at Victor Osimhen if you're going to look for a striker.
I think you make a great point there, Igal. And I want to say, because it's hard to be objective online without trolls jumping in, but I agree with everything you said, Nobbins, by and large. Where I would play devil's advocate with that is two things. One, PSG didn't want Ugarte, and I'm really happy we got him. I think he's starting to look like the player. I think he's starting to look for Man United like the player that we saw at Sporting as an example. So you can sometimes, Mo Salah, when he went to Liverpool, it was almost like, well, why, if he was any good for the Prem, why would Chelsea let him go? So there's a little bit of that there, although I by and large agree with what you're saying. The other element is this, though, about what you've said, Igal. Man United have made a sort of a gentleman's promise that they wouldn't exercise the buyout clause of Victor Gyökeres. If Gyökeres is who we're going to go for, but we're going to maintain our relationship with Sporting and wait till the summer, then maybe I do understand a short 6-month loan for a player like Muani. I think he's a good player. Is he going to... He may come in and it just not work. It may be like a Raheem Sterling deal where he barely plays, looks worse than what we've already got. I do think both our current strikers look a bit lost. If I'm being honest, I think that what we've done to Rasmus, there's loads of flaws in his game that he's got to work on. He was never ready to be the lead number 9 for Man United when he arrived 18 months ago. And I think he's had too much game time for a raw player. A lot of us have said that about Garnacho over the last 2 or 3 years. I think too much game time too early probably needed to be nurtured that little bit more. So maybe looking at a 26-year-old who is experienced, played at every level, maybe there's something in that. So I wouldn't sign this off myself. I'm not sitting there going, wow, we're going to get Muani. I'm not blown away by it. But I do think there's some logic in behind their thinking as an example, because a big issue for us is goals at the moment. But he's not a prolific goal scorer, though. So I do get the pushback against it. There are other players that I would look at. I like Victor Osimhen. I'd prefer Victor Gyökeres, though. And if you sign one now, you're not getting the other in the summer. And I've always stated this, and I'm not going to yield on it. I think you should always... If you have to wait 6 months for your number one target, I've always felt you should do it. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, I'm not blown away by this link. When I saw Man United's name in PSG, I was hoping it was something to do with Nuno Mendes, who we're linked to. And that's a different scenario. PSG want to renew his contract, and
they just got him.
He's got 18 months left on his deal. PSG want to renew him, and he's saying no. And United are interested. That would excite me a lot more. A player that PSG are desperate to keep.
That would be amazing for United, by the way.
He's one of the best left backs.
That would be unreal. Yeah,
really. I don't know much about him. He's that good, Nobbins.
Yeah. Not only is he that level already, he's also incredibly young in terms of his offensive prowess. He just is that guy. So as a left wing back, I feel like that would be like tailor made for him. To be honest, yeah, I think that would be amazing.
Not only left wing back, he can play left back pretty well too. So if you ever go back to a back four, he's suited to both.
Oh, Terry, the way I used to talk about Gvardiol before he made the move to City, I'd say he's not quite at that level, but he's not far off it. So you'd be signing someone who has potential to be an elite player, like a genuinely elite player.
If he doesn't end up at Man United and Bayern Munich end up keeping Alphonso Davies, I wouldn't be surprised if Real Madrid go for Mendes. That's the level I put him at.
Yeah. You look at his stats; it's greens everywhere. Like there's very few holes in his game. So if you get Nuno Mendes, that's a
Staffy here says, look at his hamstring injury in 2023.
Everyone gets hamstring injuries, mate.
We've had 8 hamstrings in the last 8 months.
Yeah, and look where you are now.
I've had 8 hamstrings.
Henry, that didn't fill me with any. I mean, looking at it now, he had a hamstring injury. Yeah, he was out for. Wow.
My point was not as if to say, look how shit. Well, I don't think ours is predominantly down to injury.
Yeah, so do you want to say about this? So he had an hamstring injury from the end of the season. So May 2023 was out for 286 days till February 2024. What I would say, about that is he has had some muscular injuries in his young. He's only 22 in his younger days. The positive news is there doesn't seem to have been anything since. There's not been a single injury now in 12 months, which is actually the longest period of time. This is according to Transfermarkt. This is the longest period of time without an injury in his entire career. So there's a positive in that. But I've said it before. I don't know. I've said it. I've done a few videos where we've been linked to him. I don't know enough about him to sit there and say, wow, I'm excited. But you guys are just maybe a little bit more excited about the prospect of him coming to Manchester United. So, yeah, look, I'd
be very upset if he went to United. Very upset.
I appreciate that. And look, back to yesterday's game. Some more transfer news coming a bit later on the show, people. What did yesterday say about Manchester United, Nobbins, in your opinion?
So I will say that I was also one of those people who thought that Liverpool were going to win and win quite comfortably. I thought 2 or 3-0 would have been a fair prediction going in. Lots of Liverpool's individuals didn't perform. That's fine. But conversely, lots of United's individuals did perform very well. Minus De Ligt, and the striker situation, I don't think were particularly good. Outside of that, it was quality all over the pitch. It was sort of like the inverse to what Amorim did against Newcastle, where he just had a 5-2, and it against Newcastle, that's like suicidal. He had a more conservative 5-4, and that seemed to work. Like Liverpool was struggling to deal with that. It made United a little bit more compact and more solid defensively. Still wasn't perfect, but it was an improvement. So I think that's a telling sign that Amorim was willing to adapt in a way based on the opposition. I think that's a positive thing. I thought Bruno Fernandes had, arguably his best game ever in a United shirt. Certainly, one of the bigger games anyway. I thought he was really good. Sorry, Igal, you muted if you're trying to say something.
I said he's had better games, but I hear you.
But maybe in a game of that magnitude, I can't remember too many better. I was personally really impressed with him. What does it tell us about United? It tells us that maybe there is a blueprint there of what could be a really decent side. We all know the issues. We all know some individuals aren't good enough. But I think you got to take it if you're a United fan. You've just gone to Anfield, and arguably you should have won. Even taking away that Maguire miss, was it offside or not, whatever. The fact that there was 2-2, and it was United who were pushing for the winner, and Liverpool were concerned at that point. So yeah, I think United. We can talk about Liverpool. Should they've been a bit better? But United, yeah, they did well at the Etihad, and they've done well at Anfield. I think you've got to applaud that.
Go on, Igal. You're on mute, bro.
I just want to say, first of all, I didn't know Lisandro Martinez had that kind of strike on him for the opening goal. Number one. Number two, you got a big game player on the hands, Ahmad. Ahmad is slowly already starting to show that he's a big game player. One of these guys you can depend on to step up in some of these big games. He's done it in the derby. He's done it previously against Liverpool. Also last year in the FA Cup, he did it versus Liverpool the other day. Of course, we've seen him starting to step up for you guys in majority of these games. But when you need some of your senior players to step up in these big games, he's the one that's showing up the most and saying, you know what, I'm taking the game by the scruff of the neck. I'm going to lead you guys and try to get over the line with you guys. And it's good to see that you have a player that you can rely on in these big games. Because before, you didn't know if certain guys were going to show up. You didn't know if they're going to have a good day or off day. But on their day, you had good players like Pogba, like Bruno, and like Rashford. But Ahmad is already starting to show that he's in that mix as one of your best players and one of the better players in his position in the league. I'll give him credit. And also the referee everything was going Liverpool's way. Everything was going Liverpool's way. Now, let's be honest, we've seen that handball situation also not be given, and we've seen it be given. So I'm not going to necessarily say that specifically. But the moment I knew that everything was going their way, you remember there was a moment where they called it back for a free kick just outside the box. And it was like one of those ones where it's like, that's not really going to always be given. It's just one of those silly, like...
Well, you mean the Maguire tackle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he won the ball so cleanly. It was ridiculous. There was a few refereeing decisions yesterday. There was that one. Garnacho looks very onside in the video footage I've seen and looks borderline with the still picture. And he's picking up the ball and he's running towards goal. The protocol states you keep the flag down. And you think in a game like this, you keep the flag down. I think you keep the flag down on any borderline offside, because you theoretically, I mean, and Trent was being cooked yesterday. Let's have it right. I know he had a bad game, but he was also the Man United players were on point and they were hurting him. And I would love to have seen Garnacho in that moment run at him and see what could happen. That was disallowed. There's a potential handball. And look, I've looked at the footage 100 times for our handball that we could have got for us. One of the angles I've seen looks like it hits Konate's arm. And these are all grainy off people's phones recording their TVs. One looks like it hits Rasmus's, and one looks like it hits Gravenberg's. Now, it could be they reviewed it, see that it hits Rasmus's arm and nothing. But to not show that to the viewers, one, we pay stupid amounts of money, and you should be showing it to us. But the way it was just skirted over, I don't trust PGMOL. I don't trust VAR. So therefore, I'm going to call this out, and I want to see it. So yeah, there were a lot of dodgy decisions that needs to be called out. But I was just very proud of my team yesterday. On a real level, no banter towards Liverpool. We turned up and we put in a performance. We had the right mindset. And I could see 10 minutes into the game, our touch was good. We were passing well. Bruno was being composed, which was amazing to see. You've mentioned Ahmad already, and yeah, a great goal. I love that he can miss a big chance, or I love he can make a mistake, but he keeps going with confidence. There's something in that I find captivating in a football player, to be able to do that. I thought Ugarte was brilliant. I thought Mainu was out of this world. And look, I'm not taking nothing away from Liverpool. I thought that McAllister and Gravenberg also both had really good games. That's why the game was so amazing for neutrals to watch. But it was brilliant to see our midfield go toe-to-toe with Liverpool midfield. I don't remember I think the last time we honestly did that was LVG with Juanfield, where we dominated them. And I don't remember specifically a game where Fergie did that, where we dominated large periods. It was often sit back and absorb. And Slot kind of lied a little bit by saying we just sat behind the ball like Nottingham Forest and then went long ball. We had almost 49% of the ball. You don't have 49% of the ball sitting back and playing counter-attack football. That's just a nonsense. But I was really proud of the team, and I probably missed some names of players. I mean, defensively, Maguire was brilliant yesterday. Lissandro with his goal. Even like Lenny Yoro coming on. That tackle to stop Darwin Núñez was out of this world. But it all came together. Yes, there was training in the week. And a lot of the players have been saying it for weeks. We're a bit confused about where we should be, what we should be doing. We're overthinking because we don't know what we're meant to do in this new system. And I'm so glad that Amorim didn't listen to Don Robbie, didn't listen to certain United fans saying, relinquish your principles, go back to playing how you did under Ollie. And we saw a green shoot yesterday, a green shoot of hope of what can become. For me, I want to see him work this hard every single game now. And I want the board to look at this and know, listen, because I think if you take out, Delo played well yesterday, but I'll give you an example based on what you boys have said. You put Nuno Mendes on that left-hand side. You put a prolific striker like Gyökeres up front. I think Man United win that game. You just changed you had 2 or 3 star quality players like Liverpool had, absolute worldies. I think Man United win that game. So we've got to back this head coach. We've got to back this rebuild and bring in the right profiles of players. But we have to push for the mentality to be correct. And that, for me, in terms of what does it say about Man United, it shows me they can do it. Now it's about maintaining that standard. So I was very proud of the team yesterday in isolation of the game, and I want to see more of it. And I know there's been a lot of stick for Liverpool today, but I have been more focused on how well Man United did, if I'm being honest. I was really, really happy with my boys yesterday.
Can we talk about one more person? Trent Alexander-Arnold. Trent Alexander-Arnold, people are talking about he's already looking at his move. He's already playing. His mind's already on Real Madrid. I don't think that's the case. I just think he was just terrible for the day. He had an off day. He had an off day. He had an off game. And I'm not saying he's a terrible player, but just call it as it is. He was really bad on the day. And could this be a situation where you see his mind is elsewhere, as it is in January? He's getting pre-offered contracts from Real Madrid. Could this affect his performances for the remainder of the season? We're going to have to wait and see. But I think this is something that is going to be on his mind for the remainder of the season. The move to Real Madrid is going to be happening in the summer. I think it is. And everyone can see the writing on the wall. And if he continues to perform this way, it can create some controversy at Liverpool, as the Mo Salah and Van Dijk situation has not created any controversy, but the Trent situation definitely looks like it might. And the way that he responded to his fans after scoring the goal last time, talking about chirping, I don't think he was talking about the media. I think he was talking about his own fan base.
Do you think? Do you think that for Arne Slot, maybe starting Conor Bradley in the cup games the correct thing? Because I thought when Conor Bradley come on and he obviously beat Bruno right down that right-hand side near the byline, put in a decent ball, like Conor Bradley's kind of got like a point to prove. You could see that Trent was just not at the races. I think that's his worst performance offensively. He's defending that game was horrendous, but he couldn't even get a pass right. And this is a guy that's renowned for spraying those 70, 60-yard diags, putting in decent crosses from deep. He couldn't even get... I think Jamie Carragher said it on Sky Sports last night that going forward, he was poor. I think not just because they're playing Tottenham next, but I think if you're Liverpool, like, and a player's not at it or got his head at the moment elsewhere, why not give Conor Bradley a go? He looks a good player as well, to be fair. Like, he looks like he actually wants to play for the badge. Not saying Trent doesn't, but right now, when you've got all this uncertainty around him, it's going to be difficult. Of course, if you've got Real Madrid saying there's an open checkbook, there's £400,000 a week and a signing on fee of about €6 million. It's any footballer, I don't care who you are, if you're getting that thrown at you, it's going to be hard to concentrate where you are. It's like when you hand in your notice period, right? And you know you're leaving, you know your head's elsewhere. I don't care what anyone says. The truest professional, the last 2 to 4 weeks in your job, you're just sitting there thinking, right, I can't wait to get out of here. That's all you're thinking. So that could be a similar situation that he's in right now.
I felt United yesterday just targeted him. I can't lie. I feel like most of their big chances came down that flank in the first and the second half. Because again, we all know like he's not a great defender. Liverpool fans try and lie to us and say he's this amazing. He's improved so much that now he's Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and he's not. Like he's like 1v1. He's not great, and also sometimes positionally he's not great as well. So yeah, I felt like United went, if we can get at them in some way, we're going to go at Trent. And also what United did really well, which is this magical thing, which is something I've never understood why teams don't do. They just avoided Van Dijk. They just said, wherever he stands, we're just not going to go near it. Because if you don't let him get in the range of like actually being able to make a play on the ball, he's kind of, his ability is negated. When they were crossing the ball in right into the middle of the box, where Van Dijk is, he could just head the ball away because he's going to win that. He's going to win that header every time against Rasmus Højlund. But when United started going, started running down the wing and then cutting it back and setting up a bit deeper when they got into the 6-yard box, they just created so much more space for themselves to be able to operate it. So I thought Amorim had a really good game tactically as a manager. And one thing I do feel a bit bad for with Trent is his own fans won't let him just make a decision. If you guys know he's going to leave, right, cool, whatever. He's going to leave. How does it help your team in the current situation to berate him so much? Because all it's going to do is get in his head, because we all know that these...
Can I say something controversial, which I think only Nobbins ain't that old, but Pete will remember. Social media is making us see it. They're doing to Trent what they did to Steven Gerrard, but it works with Gerrard. It made Gerrard stay. And as much as Liverpool fans don't like to admit this, Gerrard was maybe that comeback as an example, but he was a hair's breadth away from becoming a Chelsea player. But there was a lot of aggression, not so much online. There was forums back then, but not like there are now. But there was a lot of booing and hissing. There was people that turned up at his house. There was, by the way, Man United fans did this to Wayne Rooney as well, by the way. So I'm not sitting here that my fans would never. I feel like Liverpool fans have gone for this approach of we're going to show him frustration and annoyance and anger in the hope that he says, I'm staying. And the problem is maybe Trent's just not motivated the same as Steven Gerrard. Maybe what Trent needs is please don't leave. We love you. Please. Or maybe what he just needs is thanks for everything you've done. Go and enjoy yourself. Maybe I know he's leaving on a free, but that's not his fault that your owners didn't give him a new deal. Because 2 or 3 years ago, he signed an extension. And when he said 2 years ago, I'm not signing it, they should have sold him. So I do feel a little bit sorry for Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think the way some of his fans are treating him is so disrespectful. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Like if you watch the like post-game like talk that they have, some of the things I was hearing, I was like, are you mad? Because if this was anyone else operating in their job, you wouldn't act like that. You just wouldn't. If you're imperative to your company and you know that a rival company is offering this amount of money, you're going to go to your company and say, either give me the money that I want or match their offer or whatever, and then we can go from there, or I'm just going to go to the other company. And you would all sit there and go, I'm going to do what's best for me in this current situation. But for some reason, when it comes to football, your life suddenly becomes more important than the player's life. It's they're the one playing the football. You're not. So
it's funny here, right? Sorry, I'll go to you next page. Sorry, mate. Blade here says because he played crap yesterday, Terry. Well, this is the thing, and I want to interact with the viewers on this because, yes, he didn't play well, but Trent Alexander-Arnold, I would say in the last year, has been much sounder defensively. But if we look at Trent from the age of 18 right through till now, yesterday isn't an anomaly. He has had 50 games where you could criticize 1 moment, 2 moments, or multiple moments in his game defensively. But never have I seen Liverpool fans turn on him. Blade, I do not believe that yesterday the anger was purely because of the performance. It's because he is likely to join Real Madrid. And what I thought was interesting and funny as a United fan to see is all the frailties, all the things that we've called Trent out for over the years. Now suddenly Liverpool fans are endorsing those exact same messages about him. And I think it's exposed a lot of things here. And Liverpool fans, look, it's your player, your club. Treat him however you want. But remember, this is the guy that you were all saying 6 months ago, 12 months ago, was the greatest right back in Premier League history. Be careful with the things you say now. Don't damage that argument in future when you want to insert him into that team. You are damaging his legacy by calling out all of these problems and his mishaps and what he's good at and bad at and what he's rubbish at. You're doing rivals' jobs here, and I think that I don't think it's going to work in your favor personally. Sorry, Pete, you were going to speak.
No, I was going to touch on a little bit of what you've already mentioned. To be fair, and you made some really good points. Is because I was sat there listening to the debate, argument, whatever you want to call it, after the game, and I was thinking exactly the same. It's like, hold on a second, the finger's now being pointed at Trent about his frailties of what we've noticed, and they're the things that they've been backing him up for years now. But the biggest thing for me is the media. So all of a sudden, there's this huge media narrative on Trent now, on the way in which this situation's being handled. All these little things, like Trent hasn't said a word. He hasn't said a word. I think he's actually handled himself pretty well. But I think it's almost like the silence now is starting to frustrate them. Is that they want to hear something? It's a bit like what they were doing with Salah just a few weeks ago, Carragher in particular. But is any Liverpool representative in the media, has any Liverpool fan ever stopped to think that maybe all this stuff in the media is the reason why he wants to leave and go to another country? Our media is one of the worst in terms of hammering individuals. Let's be honest here. Trent has been hammered for years about his defensive frailties.
Real Madrid's not better, bro.
Real Madrid will treat him individually a hell of a lot better than what he's been treated in this country, because there's been times very, very good and still been absolutely hammered by the media. And maybe going to another country where, let's be honest, he will be loved at Real Madrid for his ball playing ability alone. He will be loved there. He'll be able to play the way he wants to play. Don't get me. Let's not forget.
I disagree. You have to prove yourself. You have to prove yourself at Real Madrid. Kylian Mbappe went to Real Madrid. He's known as one of the best players. You literally have to prove to them that you're worth cheering for. They're not just going to come and celebrate.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I'm convinced that he is going to prove himself. I'm convinced he is going to do the business there. He's done it. If he's done it at Liverpool, there's nothing that tells me any different that he cannot go and do that at Real Madrid. So I'm already kind of forward thinking on what you're saying there. I might be wrong in doing that, but I'm just assuming he's going to go there and tear it up because he is a top world-class right back.
Can I add to your point as well? I feel like what the media is doing, I've seen a bit with Salah as well, with what Jamie Carragher said about him. I remember Liverpool and legends like Jamie Carragher and the media doing very similar things to Raheem Sterling. And I know right now, Gooners don't like Raheem Sterling, City fans don't like Raheem Sterling, some don't. Chelsea fans hate him now. You know, Liverpool fans always have since he left. But let's not forget that they painted a picture that Raheem Sterling was leaving purely for greed when he was going Man City. And he didn't. He went to Man City to win multiple Premier Leagues, multiple domestic trophies, part of the Centurions, etc. He went to Man City to further his career. Now, Liverpool went on to do really, really well as well. But nobody knew what was coming with FSG. Nobody knew what was coming with Klopp. A lot of Liverpool fans themselves felt, especially when they got rid of Suarez and then Sterling went, they were like, what's that club doing? So I got why he went. They're doing very similar with Trent now, where I feel like they're throwing him under the bus. They're painting this picture that he's disloyal, that he's money hungry, that he's disrespecting the football club. The problem I have with that narrative, and yes, it's easier for me to say when it isn't my club, is if this was the other way around and Real Madrid had a starlet from their academy who was seen as the best right back in the world by many people, that was not signing a new deal with Madrid to come to Liverpool, you would all be loving him. Liverpool fans didn't dislike Van Dijk because he was part of being tapped up by... When he was being tapped up by Liverpool, and Liverpool had to pull away from that transfer deal, which was against the rules of the game, they didn't boo him for forcing his way out of Southampton. They cheered him because he improved their football team. And by the way, Liverpool fans, we're all the same. We're all the same. I want Gyökeres. If Gyökeres forces himself out of Sporting, am I going to lose any sleep? No. If he tries to force his way out of Man United in 3 years to go to another club, it'll annoy me. So I think sometimes we've got to try our best to sit back, take off the rose-tinted glasses and be honest. You are right, Pete. The way the media are now setting him up, they're going to make him a figure of hate in this country. We've done it to Raheem Sterling. We've done it to Wayne Rooney. We did it to David Beckham. And I don't want to see it done to another. I don't care that they're English. I don't want to see it done to another player in that way. It's an absolute disgrace. And we all know that Trent will get it even worse than some of those aforementioned players. And you've got to be very careful about his Liverpool fans. I know you're upset with him, but this is a legend of a bona fide legend of your football club, one of your greatest ever Premier League players. Yes, he wants to go now, but I think he deserves so much more respect than they're giving him. Yeah, I really do. Viewers, give us your thoughts, give us your opinions on that. I want to go to some of these super chats that have come in here. Red Indian says it's not a normal job in the first phase. Liverpool made him what he is today. He served, but going on a free is criminal, not acceptable.
Didn't he make what he is today, though? Like, did he not make what he is?
He doesn't decide when he gets sold. That's not what happens.
That comment there is on the club. That's not on Trent. The club needed to sign him up for. Look, there's a standard understanding with any top club now that when a player gets down to 2 years, you start to have a conversation. We had the same this summer with Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon was 2 years on his contract, which is why he was linked with Liverpool. And it was a case of, right, do we sell him now because of PSR, or do we keep him and give him a new deal? We gave him a new deal. That's a standard practice for any top club. And I'm telling you, like, it's negligence, the fact that Liverpool Football Club have allowed Trent to get down to his last 6 months of his deal. It's absolute negligence. That is not on Trent. That is on Liverpool Football Club. Any Liverpool fan should be asking massive questions to the club, not the player.
I have another stance. Arsene Wenger once said, you're going to see a lot more players running down their contracts because it then allows them to move on a lot more easier. And also clubs can sign the player a lot easier. Maybe this is Trent's only way to leave Liverpool. with respect. You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, I don't think Liverpool are going to openly sell him.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to openly say I want to transfer. But this way, they didn't give him the offer that he wants. He can
clean.
move on, and it doesn't hurt his legacy.
They should have just sold him. But look, we all saw the video of Ashley Cole talking the other day, and I'm not an Arsenal fan, although some people think I am. I didn't know what he said was true. Someone said that David Dean mentioned something a few years back, but whenever I see David Dean face, but Arsenal offered him a really good deal, and then they pulled the offer or they changed the offer, and he felt disrespected. And I'm not saying some Arsenal fans will never change their view on him, but I understand it. If Man United today say, look, Ahmad, we want to keep you, new deal, 100 grand a week. He's like, oh yeah, I'm going to sign that. They comes to signing it. By the way, we've changed it now. 60,000 a week. I expect him to leave, especially if other top clubs are offering him 100, 120, 130, 140, 150,000 pound a week. That is what he's worth. And I don't like treating footballers different to any other professional person in the world. There's a going rate for certain jobs, certain levels. You're a trained lawyer, Nobbins. You know, if you are literally good enough to be hired by all the major celebrities in the world when they get in trouble with the police, right? Sort of a Kardashian level lawyer. For anyone who wonders why I mentioned Kardashian, Kim Kardashian's dad was an amazing lawyer. If you're at that level, you might do a pro bono here and there, but you're not gonna work at a sort of standard high street rate when you know you're worth, I don't know what it is, $5,000 an hour. Like, you're gonna get what you're worth, right?
Sure, for sure, yeah.
I agree, and I think the footballers shouldn't be treated indifferently. He can sign a standard contract with a release clause. Let me ask you this question though, bro. And where is the evidence from trusted sources that he was offered a good contract with a standard release clause that says I'll let him go for 50 to 60 million? Genuinely, if they've offered him 400 grand a week, 5-year deal, but with a 50, 60 million release clause, I will agree with you that he should have signed that 2 years ago to help his club bring money in. I understand that completely. But has he been offered that? I think I would be your journalists have access. Ask them that question. And the fact that everyone seems to be turning against him tells me he wasn't offered something like this. Because if he was, it'd be very easy just to release that news and go, he turned down this offer. But it's all very wishy-washy, my friend. Moving on.
If he put in his contract, oh yeah, I'm going to leave for 50 mil, guaranteed Liverpool fans would have been upset that the contract was so low, that the value was so low.
Yeah.
It's almost, he can't win. It's just their argument is stay at our club because our club's the best club.
This is the best route for him to leave the club where he can't be blamed. It's on the club.
Yeah,
I hear that.
Does anyone blame him for joining Real Madrid?
No,
Liverpool fans will. No. Liverpool fans will.
Yeah, well, yeah, they will, but no one else outside of Liverpool.
But it's Real Madrid. We all know he wants more Champions League medals.
I agree with that. I'm going to go to the super chats here before we move on the subject. Sorry, guys. It says, where are all the Scousers, Terry? Yeah, none were available today. 35 of them in the group chat. None were available today. Bottle jobs. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for asking everybody to hit the like button. Botman needs to find... Batman, sorry, needs to go and find Mo and Hassam still ghosting. Ugarte was so good on the ball yesterday. Love him. Yeah, he was great yesterday. He was offered 78 million for 5 years, but maybe it's not about money. Maybe he wants to go to another football club. So this is what I'm saying, Red Indian. You've got to ask these questions and be objective. If he said 2 years ago, doesn't matter what you offer me, I really want to go and play somewhere else. I want to broaden my horizons, live somewhere else, experience another culture. And Liverpool said, fine, you're going to make you run the contract down. How's that Trent's fault? You could have got 80 million for him 2 years ago and reinvested. So please, can you do me a favor and answer? Don't twist my question by adding another question to it. Answer that question directly. If that's what's happened, that he said no to the deal, it's not about money, I want to move on. If he said that and they didn't sell him, what about that is Trent's fault, Red Indian? Please answer me that question directly, my friend. I'd love to understand your take on that. Double-edged sword, saw it at Arsenal with Ozil, Aubameyang, etc. Huge contracts renewed and the players became dog shit. The problem is, Sonny, that's what happens when your club has got a good culture. So it's nothing to do with the new contract directly, bad culture. Mo Salah got a new deal a few years ago. He ain't a big one. He hasn't fallen off, has he? He's seen as the best player in the world. If the club's got a bad culture, absolutely you don't do it. I don't think Liverpool Football Club has a bad culture, but I hear you on your comment there. We got it back. Sorry, we got to back it up and do the same against Arsenal on Sunday. Listen, I feel a bit more confident about playing. Thank you, Pete. He had to shoot. He was meant to be on at 6, but he was late getting home. He's got another show to do, so he only come in for 15 minutes. So I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to going to play Arsenal now at the weekend. To be honest, I'm looking forward to playing Arsenal.
Especially when they've got a game midweek as well.
Got nothing to lose.
Yeah, nothing to lose. You know, I'm looking forward to it. Arsenal are the clear favourites, but I'm looking forward to it. We're
that
going
front
to
three that Arsenal are going to put out with the Wanyeri news, like, I wouldn't be.
Havertz might be back, so it might be
Martinelli, Havertz, Jesus.
Cheese.
Yeah,
or Trossard.
True. Yeah. To be fair, yeah.
I reckon that's it. That's going to be a banana skin. I reckon United will get something.
You know what I know?
Does it go to a replay if it's a draw, or is it straight to pens?
No, straight to pens. No more replays.
It's basically attack versus defense with the Man United game and the Spurs game, because I feel like you guys are gonna try to attack us, and no, not really. I'm just Tottenham. Man United, I don't know what you're good at. Are you good at attacking?
Hey, you talking to yourself? It's like having a conversation with yourself.
Yeah, I am, because I'm thinking, I'm like Man United are not that good at attacking either. So I don't know what to say your strength is.
We will do to you what we did yesterday, what we tried to do to you when we played you a few weeks ago, what we did to Man City. There'll be a combination. There'll be times where we sit in and hold on to the ball. Sit in and be compact, and there'll be times where we try to attack you. Sunday's a really interesting blueprint because Liverpool have been better defensively than you this year, and we were able to. Have they not?
No,
yes,
not in the Premier League. Not in the Premier League.
There's one goal in it.
Go look at the numbers.
So they've conceded. Who's conceded less? You or them?
Arsenal.
In all competitions, Liverpool have got the best defense.
Yeah, but we're not talking all competition. We're talking about in the Premier League.
I am. I'm talking about all competitions. I just look at Liverpool's defense. By the way, so let's be very clear here. I don't want to get into one of these debates. Both defenses are amazing. All I'm stating is that this season, objectively speaking, Liverpool's has been slightly better, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes. The underlying numbers also say that Liverpool's has been better.
So I think that's what we'll do. I don't think Man United will sit behind the ball for 90 minutes of the game. You're the clear favorite.
We conceded 2 goals in the Champions League. They conceded 1. We've conceded 18 goals in the league. They've conceded 19. So relatively similar.
Well, yeah.
Defensively, we've been similar. The difference is offensively.
Up until they played us, their defensive record in the Premier League was better, and they played one less game. To be fair, as well, that could have changed it. But yeah, I mean, look, I think we're splitting hairs over something that isn't that important. If yours is marginally better, theirs is both very good. That's the key point here when talking about Man United. And we're not going to sit behind the ball against Arsenal for 90 minutes. So yeah, I'm excited about I wasn't excited about these games, but we put in that performance, and I'm excited. I'm not getting carried away. I'm predicting an Arsenal win because you're by far the favourites. But I think that Man United performance shows. Listen, it might actually work against us. It shows Arsenal you've got to be on it. You've got to be very good to beat us. I think you're going to have to be good to beat us. Very good to very good.
Terry, I have a different take. I think your players are more motivated by that Liverpool game than they are week to week per games, because their performances and the ability to switch on, they're more focused, and they had less lapses of concentration throughout the 90 minutes than they did in any game that I've seen throughout the year, because they are so concentrated on the Manchester City derby, this game versus Liverpool, that I don't think they're going to have the same level of intensity, the same level of concentration and consistency going forward for the remainder of the season. And in the Arsenal game, let's be honest, it might be a derby for some of the Manchester United fans that have been through it for a while. But I don't think the players are going to look at Arsenal Man United as they used to look at Arsenal Man United. It's not going to be the same level of intensity as it would be.
So what you're saying is you think Man United are going to treat you like a small club and not be up for
it? No, I think they're going to go into this game versus Arsenal, and they're going to look at it similar to how they look at any other game throughout the Premier League campaign or in the league or FA Cup campaign, where the derbies, they're a lot more focused. They're a lot more.
We were focused. We were focused against you in the league game. It was 2 corners that undone us because we're not very good at them. But
but you also couldn't do nothing offensively.
But again, this is why I would say I think you're being a little bit disingenuous.
Your overall performance was not that good.
Let me finish. I understand that, but we improved this week for one reason and one reason only, and that was because we had training sessions. We're gonna have another full week of training sessions. The attack will be better this time than the first time we played you, in my opinion. Like I've said, you're the clear favourites. You're missing me saying that. It's not even computing in your head. I'm saying you're the clear favourites. All I am saying is that I'm more optimistic now about this game than I was 48 hours ago. That's not a disrespect to Arsenal. And what's interesting about your take on Man United, it's the opposite to every other person, that we only get up for the bigger teams and that it's the smaller teams that we don't have the motivation for. So I would put you in that bigger team category, Igal, not the smaller team category.
No, I understand that, but I'm also talking about the fact that you don't have the same level of performance that you did against Man City and Liverpool versus Tottenham. I didn't see that same level of performance versus Chelsea, for example. When I look at
hang on. Sorry. We haven't. Sorry, Henry. We haven't played Chelsea with Amorim here.
No, but even when you played, okay, yes, you haven't played Chelsea with Amorim. So let's go from the Tottenham game. Look at the 3 games you played against the bigger teams.
Again, right? I hear you on that. I'm gonna be really blunt.
And then you look at your overall performance.
I want to talk on your point. Let's get back to your point for a second.
Okay, I am, but I'm building on it.
You're not. Wait a second. I want to.
But you don't know what I'm gonna say.
But I want to. You might change your mind. Let me just say something to you.
Okay.
I would not put Tottenham on the same level as Arsenal, and I wouldn't put Tottenham on the same level as City or Liverpool.
Okay. Fair. So
you're a level above them, my friend. I'm complimenting your club here. Don't put. Trust me, Man United.
Do you genuinely believe?
It's the truth. It's the truth.
Do you genuinely believe your players get up for a game against Arsenal the same way they get up for a game versus Man City and Liverpool?
Yes. You are a huge club for Man United. It's a game that we desperately want to win all the time, and it's a huge match. And the fact that we can't win the League Cup because we're out. The fact that we're probably not going to make it into Europe via the league makes it an even bigger game. I think there'll be a huge amount.
To be fair, when we played you on the 4th of December, it kind of was like you guys were just like, I didn't feel like you guys played to win the game. I feel like you guys just played to keep the score close and try to nick it. And it wasn't really like you were trying to go out there and win the game from the minute one. It was more like you're just trying to buy your time.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 4th game under Amorim when we played you. We've played like nearly 10 games since then. We had no training sessions at that point, and we're up against a team that's very, very good away from home. And we had some bad performances since then. But I'm intrigued again. I think you're taking this very much as an insult towards Arsenal, where I'm looking at it.
I'm not, Terry. I'm just giving you my opinion.
Where I'm looking at it from a United perspective is the one thing I was waiting for before I got anywhere near judgmental with our head coach was for him to start having training sessions. With all due respect, no matter what industry you're in, if you haven't had a chance to train your staff or teach your staff or your team or coach them, and I just think, again, with this weekend performance, another week of training, this match, in my personal opinion, will be far more competitive. But Arsenal are the better team. Arsenal are the clear favourites. And the pressure is on Arsenal to win this match, not Man United, because you are so much better than we are. But it'll be more competitive now.
I was just simply saying you didn't have any training leading up to the Man City game, and you had an amazing performance, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just maybe I'm just.
Are you ignoring the context of City situation? Are you ignoring the context of City situation?
Maybe I am. But at the end of the day, I'm just simply saying the 2 games that I've seen you guys play at your best against these top teams. It's not a coincidence.
This is what I love, right? It's what I love by people. Terry getting carried away after one game. What have I said that I'm getting carried away about? Arsenal were the clear favourites. Arsenal are predicted to win. Arsenal were the better team. I said I've just got a bit more optimism. A little bit more optimism. That's how is that getting carried away?
You should. As you should. And also with our injuries to Bukayo Saka and some of our players, you should have more confidence.
Clapped out like an old. I tell you, mate. Absolutely, I'm telling you. Moving on from that, like sticking with Arsenal though, Cunha.
Yeah.
What about the Cunha to Arsenal deal? Because it's been revealed by Fabrizio that he could be about to sign a new deal. I saw some reports today that he is delaying the signing of it. Obviously, Arsenal are heavily linked to him. There's a few of your in the knows who have kind of said that Arsenal have agreed personal terms, etc. I haven't seen anything confirmed by any more credible outlets. Do you think that's a deal you should be exploring? Or is it a deal it should be for the summer? Is it a different type of player that you should be looking at this January? And by the way, we're nearly a week now into the transfer window. Still no signings.
Sign some players, for God's sakes. We need quality. We need some attacking depth. We need some quality in our attack. We need to improve our attack. And the thing is, if Cunha is a signing that is going to potentially replace one of Jesus or Trossard in the near future, and they're going to be leaving, and it doesn't negatively impact our summer at all, then fine, go get him. But if you think Cunha is going to be a level raiser that's going to get us from A to B, I just don't agree with that. I just don't think that is going to be the move that gets us from A to B. It can be like a little bit of a shot to help our attack out a little bit more, and that's probably what it is, similar to what Trossard was, a little bit of a boost in your attack in the January to give you guys a little bit more help from now to the end of the season. But Cunha is no marquee signing. Cunha is no major signing that's going to take us to the next level. I view him as similar to Jesus or Trossard, players who are going to be in and amongst the pack for our front three. And I still want that major summer signing to come in that's going to be a striker or a major winger coming in. And Cunha, if he negatively impacts that, or if Arsenal say, oh, we signed Cunha in this summer, we're not going to get it forward in the summer, then I don't want him, because I want to make sure we get the right player. And if it just means we get a short-term fix that negatively impacts us in the long term, I don't want that. What I want is actual quality for to get us from A to B. And I just don't think Cunha is going to get us from A to B. I think he's just going to be a stopgap, or not a stopgap, a short-term solution to a problem.
But Igal, respectfully, you're not going to get Victor Gyökeres in January.
I know that.
The unlikely is you're probably not going to get Victor Osimhen. You need a wide player that is versatile and can play across the line. I would argue that the only forward this season you've had that's been better than Cunha is Saka.
Fair.
And I think Cunha, looking at your forwards right now, Martinelli and Trossard are very inconsistent. And 1 minute Martinelli doesn't look like he can beat a man. The other week he looks like he can actually contribute. And on the right-hand side, you've now got Sterling out for, I don't know how long until he's back. Wanyeri's now out and Saka's out. If he's available, I don't know what the fee is. It's probably going to be around the £50 million mark.
50, 60, yeah.
The only other one you'd look at is probably Brian and Buemo as well, that could come in potentially. But it's very unlikely you're going to make a star.
Or Omar Mamrouche. Or I would go for Omar.
We're apparently signing him.
Yeah, apparently you're signing him. Came out from Egyptian newspapers. What I'm saying to you, Brendan, is Brendan.
Gamble, whereas Cunha's playing in the league.
I'm sorry, Henry. The thing is, I called you Brendan by accident. The thing is, when it comes to what you're saying, I agree with you. He's quality. He's better than what we currently have to our disposal. But if it negatively impacts our summer, which I would hope it wouldn't, I would not make the move. If it's something that we spend 50, 60 million on Cunha, and we put him on the wages, and he's a replacement for Jesus and Trossard, who we're going to replace in the summer, and then we also still get more additions in the attack, then I would do it.
That's what you should do.
That's what I would do.
I feel like Arsenal have to, though, because they're just in a position where they've got no one. Because
we have to sign.
They sold all their depth. They said Ethan's going to be the guy, and now Ethan's injured. So they've got to replace it somehow, because right now they've got 4 fit attackers, and how many of them are actually good? They're not going to win the league with their
these are the 9 games this month.
These are the options.
Do something. If you're a big team and you genuinely believe you're going to win the league, you can win the league. You've got to go out and do something big. You have to.
I agree.
People are talking about Mbeumo. I don't see us actually going and pulling the trigger on Mbeumo. People are talking about Cunha. I can see that happening, but he would have to reject his deal at Wolves, and Wolves would have to then sell him to us. As for Omar Marmoush, I don't know if that's actually going to happen with City or not, but I would be interested in that player also, as he can play as a forward, as a striker, and as a left winger. Nico Williams, I just don't think Nico Williams has the end product, but he looks like a quality player. I have to see more of him before I write him off or anything like that. And then for the rest of the players we're linked to, let's be honest, we're not signing Isaac, we're not signing Victor Gyökeres, we're not signing Vlahovic. Any of these guys are not coming in the January, but we're going to be linked to them until the end of January. It's just how it is.
Can I ask a few? I want to throw a few of these points to the panelists here. Levi here says, "Why are we linked with players like Cunha and Delap? Go for some top tier players."
Respect a lot.
Do you think that Arsenal are linked to the wrong types of players, Nobbin? Do you think that the Cunhas and the Delaps of this world are good enough to help them become champions of England, win the Champions League? Or is it that next, who are these next tier players you think they should be focusing on, if you agree with this comment?
Well, if the Gal starting point is we're not going to go and get Nico Williams, Kvaratskhelia, Barcola, these like elite tier wide players, if the starting point is that we're not going to go for that sort of player in Jan, then is this not the next best thing? Like Henry's touched on Cunha, he can play in the attacking midfield, he can play as a striker, he can play on the right, he can play on the left. That seems to be exact, and he does it all very well. That seems to be like a perfect situation for Arsenal. Now, is he like the ceiling grazer that Arsenal need long term? No, I don't think so. But Arsenal don't just need a ceiling raiser, especially like given all the injuries that are happening, question marks around whether Trossard's good enough, etc. That's an immediate upgrade there, 100%. So it's a good purchase if it did happen. Absolutely. If I was an Arsenal fan, I would personally, I'd be greedy. I want to see that, and I also want to see a ceiling raiser as well, because this title is not done from an Arsenal perspective. If they showed ambition and if they bought that player this Jan, you will overpay, but hey ho, you overpay for the mistakes of your squad building past. City are experiencing that now. Arsenal made mistakes in terms of their squad building. You got to suck up and pay the pauper, etc. Pay the pab, whatever the term is. Yeah, that's what I'd want. Get that rotational player who can still start but be versatile, but also get the ceiling grazer as well. Why not both?
You know something.
They can afford them, as I understand it.
Fans can be underwhelmed by signings, but look at Anthony Gordon right now. I would say he's one of the best left wingers in the league. And when he signed for Newcastle, people are saying, how much you pay for to Everton? They were laughing at it, saying Chelsea fans were celebrating they didn't get Anthony Gordon. They probably would take him right now. So I'm not upset if the club goes and gets the deal done. I'm just simply saying, do not let any deal we do in January negatively impact our summer. Because I need improvements, and I'm okay with Cunha.
When you say negative improve it though, right? Man United did you a bit of a favour yesterday. They stopped Liverpool from winning. Things remained as they were, as an example. You need to try and win the league from I know you don't want to. I get your point. Don't spend 120 million pounds on a play you can get for 50 million in the summer per se. But shouldn't you be not going for broke, but shouldn't you be maybe spending some of that summer budget on actual targets, players that you want now? Because it isn't just the league. If you got, say you do, I'm going to throw names out there. Say you went and signed Cunha and you went and signed Mamouche. Just say you got those two players, right? I know he's linked to City, but we just use their names. Or player of that ilk and that quality. You still may not catch Liverpool, but would everybody on this panel would agree, add two quality attackers like that to your team, you've got a bigger chance of winning the Champions League now. I feel like I understand this. Don't buy someone that's 10th on the list because he's available in January. I understand that logic, but you're in a position where you should spend because you can still win 4 major trophies this year. You're in 4 major trophies. And if you don't spend because it's going to be £20 million cheaper in totality in the summer for those same players, that for me is a bullshit excuse, Igal. That's a bullshit excuse.
I don't think it has anything to do with the money aspect. If our number one targets in the summer are available right now, we would do it. But I think our number one targets in the summer are the likes of Isaac, for example, right? Alexander Isaac or Victor Gyökeres. And those guys, I just don't think they're attainable at this moment in time.
And I understand that, but then what about what? Sorry, go on, David. Go on, you speak, man.
I just don't think Arsenal are in a position to say, "Oh, we're going to wait another year and hopefully things go our way." Because for all you know, again, Man City will get better. Chelsea will get better. Man United will get better. You don't know where your club's going to be by this point next year.
You're 100%
Do you
right.
really be sat here? Do you want to be sat here in another year saying, "Oh, but we have to wait for another summer because there's one player that we might get."
Brother, you're 100% right. And we have to strike while the iron's hot. We don't want to be that nearly club forever and continue to miss out and then say what could have been and look back at this whole situation and say, oh, we missed out on everything. But there doesn't seem to be that level of, urgency this early in the window. I have not seen it's 6 days into the window. I've not seen anything. They might be doing stuff behind the scenes. I hope they are. They've been emphasizing that they're looking to make transfers this January window. And I just haven't seen any concrete movement yet. Right now, it's been speculation about Nico Williams, speculation about Cunha, speculation about Mbeumo, Semenyo, so many different names, but no actual bids or actual concrete movement. So since it's only the 6th of January, I'm not going to lose my mind, but I do hope they can get something done because I do agree with you guys. Don't think for 1 second I don't want Arsenal to go and make a signing in January to help us get a better chance of winning this league or going on to do something this season, because I do think we're a couple of attackers away. And when I say a couple of attackers, I mean serious attacking depth away from having a pretty good team across all levels. Our defense, our midfield has been solid. It's just been our forward line that's been letting us down. And if we can get some improvement in that forward line, we definitely will have a better chance. But yeah, if we keep kicking it down the can, it'll be like Liverpool all over again. But at least Liverpool, they've won stuff.
He's kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. We always say, I love it when someone says the same wrong. I do it all the time. Igal hasn't watched Cunha play. He takes
I watch Wolves all the time.
And opens up the space on the counter. Great on the ball double digits GA in a relegation battle for Wolves. Who is better, Anthony Gordon or Nico Williams?
I'm taking Anthony Gordon every day.
I think Nico Williams.
Yeah, I'll take Nico Williams.
But I've got a crush on Nico, so I don't think
I'm taking Nico. I'm taking Nico.
Yeah, that's my boy. I like Nico a lot.
I'm going to go over Gal on this. I'll probably take Gordon right now. He weren't a player I like much in the summer.
The reason I take Nico is he's done it internationally as well, and his Copa del Rey
it's a good
run
point.
last season. Don't get me wrong, he's been awful this season. He has not been great. But last year in that Copa del Rey, when he scored the semi-final winner, got him, then scored in the Euro final, and he's proven that not a lot of your players can do in the biggest of biggest games domestically. He's turned up. Whereas in the last
I hear that argument. This year it says Mamouche going City in the summer, 5-year deal. It does feel there's a lot of noise about it being a City player in the summer.
That's annoying.
Yeah.
Why? Do you want him?
I think he's a quality player, and I think he's for whatever you're paying, for half the money of what you paid for Jack Grealish. He's an upgrade massively on him, Savio, and Doku, and he's going to add end product. Your front three right now, besides Erling Haaland and occasionally one of Bernardo Silva or Phil Foden, the rest of the guys lack end product. So that he brings.
He's rapid as well, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's a quick lad.
And the free kicks and the pace.
No one remembers that from last week.
Yeah, he is rapid. Yeah, no one was on the show. Terry, we aren't favourites. Arsenal fans don't have last year's confidence. Sonny, Arsenal are the favourites for the game against Man United. Let's not be stupid here. You are by far the favourites for that game, my friend. This here says the gal who is likely to not care about cups, more likely to not care about the cups, Mikel Arteta or Ruben Amorim?
Ruben Amorim, if he can win a cup or not, his season doesn't rely on that. I think Arteta winning a cup is more important. Ruben Amorim just walked into a team that won trophies back-to-back seasons and still haven't progressed. So I don't think fans are going to necessarily be upset with him if he doesn't win a cup in his first half season.
I hear that. I'm going to go to you next, Nobbins, actually. Arsenal obviously playing Newcastle United tomorrow night, Carabao Cup, first round semi-final, first leg. Not first round, first leg. They had a torrid time really against Brighton at the weekend. Took the lead, but then kind of faded. Then the penalty. Fans not very happy. Too much of a negative approach, not attacking enough. How do they rectify that for the game tomorrow against Newcastle, which feels like it's going to be a bit of a feisty affair.
So who's hosting? Is it who's at home?
Arsenal.
Right. It's hard, isn't it? Because Newcastle's strength is their midfield, which I've touched on before, is incredibly technically gifted, but also incredibly athletic and physical. But based on, I think, like illness/injuries, I think Arsenal are basically limited to basically matching them up by having a equally physical midfield, by starting, Rice and Moreno, as I understand it, because I think Ødegaard's wasn't quite fit to start, for example, was he? So he might not be able to start. I don't know. How do they rectify it? I don't think they, in terms of their issues this season, I don't think that's possible, because I think the only way they can rectify their issues is to sign players, to be honest with you, or for their injured players to return. So it's a bit of a cop-out answer, but I don't know how they can rectify the issues that they have had this season going forwards without bringing in reinforcements or without injured players coming back. We touched on what the front...
Who do you think will win, Dobbins? Do you think
the game or the leg or the match?
Just this game.
The
leg. I'll tell you what, the leg.
This leg. I think it will be a 1-0 win to Arsenal.
That's
and then over the return leg?
2-1 Newcastle, and it'll go to pens.
That's realistic. Because now...
I think Newcastle win it. I can't lie.
Sorry, let David finish. Let David finish, please. Again, I'll go to you next. Sorry, brother.
I look at the way Arsenal currently playing, and I just can I again? They might, if they it depends. Again, the Carabao Cup's weird because teams can rotate or teams can go full strength, and you never know. If they both go full strength, I think over 2 legs Newcastle would do them. Mainly because Newcastle have got Botman back, which I think is a massive win for them. He got injured in the last game. He even got injured. I don't know how long his injury is, but hopefully they have him back. If not,
they'll have Share back though,
and they've got Share back as well. But I just think right now Arsenal's biggest weakness is that they can't create. And if Newcastle score 2 goals in a game, which again Isak and Gordon is very likely to do, I don't see how Arsenal can make it up. I think if Newcastle score 3 goals in 2 legs, which I back them to do, they win the tie. I just don't. I don't see Arsenal bundles of goals anymore.
I think putting Tonali back in the 6 or 7 games ago for Newcastle from Eddie Howe literally saved his job.
It's unlocked Bruno, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well? Man City should be looking at him. I know Pep's already flirting.
He's my number 1 pick, Henry. He's my number 1 pick.
If you put him alongside Rodri when he's fully fit and back, oh my lord, with someone in front, Savio, Haaland, and etc., Man City are right back up there. But in terms of that midfield, the balance they've got in physicality on how physical Joelinton is, Tonali just mopping up and then Bruno just pulling the strings. I would argue right now for me that's the best midfield in the league. I think that the balance he's got, I think it's clear for me. And then what Newcastle have got at the moment is match winners in Isak and Gordon. Let's be honest, I don't want to get onto our game, but they weren't great against us at all. We were by far the better team. But the way they will set up against you is to sit and counter.
What? Did you mean in the second half?
What, against Tottenham Newcastle game? They weren't the better team, no way.
They were in the first half, by far.
But they had 15 minutes, and they scored both goals in those 15 minutes. But other than that...
They should have beaten you. They should have been 4-0 up at our time.
No way. The second half, they literally just went, okay, we'll just sit and defend. Okay. That's exactly what they did. And we had a number of chances. We don't have matches. We'll get Tottenham in.
That's all they had to do, though.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think they will do against Arsenal. If they get an early goal, I think they will just say, look, you come at us. Because they are on the counter-attack so dangerous right now. And they're good from set pieces.
Pound for pound, Terry, you love doing this. Newcastle have the best attack in the league, pound for pound. Based on money spent and just like overall, like compare them to every team in the league. Compare them to Chelsea, compare them to Liverpool, compare them to
Liverpool's personally.
Compare them to City. They have 2 players, you could argue, that are one of the best in their position in the league. The right-hand side is very weak, which kind of throws it off. But if they go and get Brian and Mbeumo, they could have one of the best attacks. They already have a solid midfield. they're going to be a dangerous team for this.
Yeah,
rest of the season.
they've got a really good mix in Newcastle, and look, I still think they need better quality overall. The reason why they're inconsistent is because they still need better if they ever want to win the Premier League. However, Isak's amazing, but they've got so much. They've got great technical ability. Isak, as you mentioned, Tonali, etc. But there's so much Bruno Guimaraes, but they have a physicality that goes with it. And I think that football is going through a period where I look at the Man United team and as happy with as I was yesterday. If we had 2 or 3 players in our team that had explosive acceleration and could carry the ball, again, I think the game's different. But we're just we're a little bit too slow. And Newcastle have got a very nice blend of that. And if they can start adding now, each transfer window, another player here, another player there, that has that same kind of composition, good technician, great engine, good stamina, bit of speed, bit of power. They add those things together. They're going to keep being dangerous. City at their best in the Premier League under Pep. The volume of speed, power, coupled with that technical ability they have is amazing. And they're very, very good, Newcastle, when they're on point. However, it's that you can get at them. Man United went 2-0 down quickly, brought Manu into the game. We should have scored 2 goals. Spurs in that second half should have scored goals. They just Spurs couldn't score in a brothel at the weekend. After that opening goal, which was very, very good, they should have scored goals. So listen, Arsenal should be winning this game. The first leg anyway, they should be winning it. But I think you need a 2-goal lead to qualify for the final. I think if it's 1 goal or you go up there level, I think Newcastle will win because I know everyone's desperate for trophies. All of us are. But if we're being honest, barring Henry on this panel, as much as we all want more trophies, we're all quite full in the reality of our lives. Does that make sense? Not this season. We're all quite full. We look at our titles, our trebles, our Champions Leagues, our FA Cups with a gal. Like we all look at these things and we go, I want more, but I've still had enough. My belly's full. Those Newcastle fans at St James's Park, they are hungry.
They're starving.
They are hungry.
Is it the 50s? Was that the last?
50s, bro. My dad was like 3 or 4 years old. So Arsenal have got to win by 2 clear goals or more, I think. Otherwise, the away leg, again, coupled amongst Champions League games starting again, FA Cup starting, big Premier League games, Arsenal are going to have to rotate as well. They're going to have to rotate, and they've got injuries. They need a 2-goal lead, I think, to qualify for the final because Newcastle are very good, and I'm paying credit here to them. So yeah, I'm excited about both of these semi-finals this week. But
I expect Timber back, Miles Lewis, Skelly back, probably Saliba and Gabriel. Midfield, Odegaard hopefully is ready to go. I'm going to go Rice. I'm going to go Partey. And then the front 3, Havertz hasn't played the last 2 games, if I'm not mistaken. So you guys got to remember that we were not only down because Saka is one of our best attackers. Our second best goal scorer this season has been Havertz, who's also been out. So hopefully him, Jesus, and Martinelli can do something. But really and truly, I agree with you, Terry. We need to have a 2-goal margin going into St. James's Park, a ground which we've struggled in. And Arsenal fans are not going to want to hear this, but with Liverpool playing the way that they've been playing for majority of the season and Arsenal's record in the Champions League, this cup could be our realistically best chance of winning a trophy right now at this moment in time. As it currently is, this is the best odds of us winning a trophy is the League Cup. So we need to at least try to go as far as possible and take this game very serious. We're at home. A 3-1 or a 2-0 win leaves us in a comfortable position going into the game against St. James's Park. But I do not want to go into the game against Newcastle at their ground needing a goal or what do you call it, only by a goal up, because I do see them winning the game at their ground. So at least a 2-goal buffer needs to be had, and Arteta needs this. Arsenal needs this, and I would say in the grand scheme of things, Newcastle might be hungry, but who needs it more? I'd say Arsenal, because we can't be going another season without a trophy as the stature of club that we are. We can't.
If Newcastle come tomorrow night and get a draw, would you back yourself to go to St. James's and win?
A draw for them is as good as a win because they know they're going to their ground with.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But would you be confident you can go to St. James's under the lights?
When is that game being played? In a week's time?
2 weeks time.
It's in February.
That's right, February. Sorry,
2 weeks time. Maybe we have some more players back
February.
by then. But
It's after
regardless,
the transfer window, so you'll know.
maybe
what
we'll
you're
have some
putting.
new signings or new players by then. But really and truly, I don't want to think that far ahead. The honest truth is, Henry, we want to get our job done at home. And if we can't get our job done at home, we can't expect ourselves to go there and go overturn a massive.
I'd like to say the same. We can get our job done at home, but at the moment,
you know what? When I first drew Newcastle, I said to myself, yes, Newcastle. But now looking at it, Tottenham would have been an easier game.
Yeah, of course it would have been. I mean, no.
Our cup run, by the way, Man United, Man City, and Liverpool. I mean, a team that hasn't won anything. How shit is your luck?
You got to fight for it. If you want trophies, Henry, you got to fight for it. Yeah.
What? So the likelihood is we could, if we get past Liverpool, it could be Arsenal in the final. That cup run is horrendous.
But what a way to win your first cup in 17 years. That's a good story.
Does anyone actually think we can beat Liverpool?
No.
It depends how serious they take it.
You can, if it was a one-off. You could if it was a one-off. Over 2 legs, I find it hard.
And with the second leg at Anfield.
Yeah.
You
have to, like Arsenal, but maybe more. You've got to win 2 or 3-0, or by
4-0.
I think it's a 2 to 3 clear goal margin. You might be able to do it, mate. You might.
I think Ange is not going nowhere, Henry. You need to relax with the whole sack him tonight.
No, but this is what I don't get, right?
What did you make it? Yeah, what did you make of the weekend performance with him also saying that if it was I can't do the accent, but if it was an even playing ground, mate,
we would have won that game.
You'd have won the game.
What does he mean by that? Injuries?
Yeah, what did that mean?
So what he meant was
he said the ref cheated. He said the referee cheated.
Now,
the referee cheated.
Jolinton's hand was not out. It wasn't high. It wasn't in an unnatural position. It was right by his side. Now, okay, we've seen those given. We've seen those not given. The inconsistencies. We can't blame the fact that we didn't win a game because the ball hit a player's hand. Newcastle, for me, were poor and Tottenham were the better team. But another game where Ange Postecoglou's tactical change, he takes off Bergvall, who was our best midfielder, for James Maddison. And when it was quite clear to see to everyone that it was Brennan Johnson was the one who should have went off. And then he should have put Kulu on the right and Maddison in the 10. Bergvall was the only player.
Bergvall's mistake that led to the goal. Your fans.
Yeah, other than the mistake. But did you hear the reaction when he got subbed off?
No, they booed him, not the manager.
No, that was booing Ange. That was not booing Bergvall.
That was booing Bergvall, bro.
No,
the kid was about to cry.
No, it wasn't. He was annoyed at his mistake, but he was one of our better midfielders. He was the only one getting on the ball.
He was arguably their best player.
Yeah. One of our better players. Solanke, another one, did well. And Brandon Austin, fair player. The guy's had 78 appearances, well, not even 78 appearances, 78 times been on the bench, comes into a back four of Jed Spence, Dragoos, Gray and Porro, and he was actually claiming crosses. He actually looked all right, to be fair. And now we've signed our 5th goalkeeper. The first bit of signing business we've done this window, he signed Slavia Prague's goalkeeper. So now we've got 5 registered fucking goalkeepers. We're crying out for centre backs.
He's highly rated, I've heard, though.
Yeah, he's highly rated and he might be a good player, but that should not be the priority.
Thing is, when you say you were the better team, though, you had more of the ball, 56% of the ball, but they had more shots on target, more XG. They doubled your XG. They had 132% more XG than you. That's just going with the stats. I also watched it. I think you're taking the piss a bit here, Emery. Yeah.
I don't think that was nowhere near our worst performance we've had under Ange.
So same amount of shots on target. Oh, hang on. Just because it wasn't your worst performance doesn't mean you were better than Newcastle.
No, but my point is we actually took the game to them. And in the final third, we were poor, right? We missed chance after chance after chance. But that was nowhere near it wasn't a Newcastle dominant performance. I would say it was even, slightly in favour of Spurs. And I'm normally...
Is that based on the whole 90 minutes, Henry?
No.
Or is that based on the first half?
It's based on 30 minutes.
Newcastle had 20 to 25 minutes in
the
first half.
How can you lose a game and say it was even, but we missed it?
The reason I asked that question is just because second half, because the way you've been describing Spurs' performance, say, oh yeah, we're all over them, blah, blah, blah. But Newcastle were winning by that point. So game state's a thing, isn't it? So I would actually argue that Newcastle didn't really care that Spurs came at them, unless they scored a goal, but they didn't score a goal. So
Yeah, but that entire second half, Newcastle's approach was, like you just said, we'll just sit back. You come at us.
Yeah,
but they were winning.
Yeah, I know, but they still didn't do a huge amount in the second game to add to their third or fourth goal.
But they didn't need to. They got it right.
You already done the work.
To be fair, Tottenham.
Now we're saying if a team goes 1-0 up in the first minute, they just defend their entire game and not attack for 89 minutes.
To be fair, Tottenham should have scored. They literally shot across the box.
Yeah, I get that. But you're ignoring what not been said. It's game state. It changes, and sometimes
I understand his point.
There's like cliches like a team can score too early. Sometimes when you go away against we've all seen this where smaller teams have come to our grounds and gone up early in a game. We're not talking about Man United in the state we're in now. We're talking about when we're a good team. Sometimes that's the worst thing that team can do. Because they sit back a little bit more. It wakes the other team up. If you're going to take a 1-0 lead, typically speaking, against the bigger sides, you actually want to do it really late in the game when there's less time to respond. But then the game state's different. So there is a bit of that. Look, I think you guys had a few moments in the game. You did well in terms of performance. But yeah, what I thought was funny about what Big Ange ranted about is that a year ago, you'll never hear me challenging the integrity of a ref. And as soon as he said that, I went, that's going to come back. He ain't seen these Premier League refs. That is going to come back and bite him in the arse one day. You know what I mean?
Coming up this month, Terry, we've got Liverpool.
We have to accept refereeing decisions.
Yeah, we got Liverpool on Wednesday. Then we've got an FA Cup tie against Tamworth. Then we've got Arsenal and Everton away. And if we're bringing in Kolo Muani and a goalkeeper, I don't see how this is going to improve. We haven't got Romero or Van der Ven back until the first week in February, which means we are forced to play Archie Gray and Radu Dragusin against Liverpool, Arsenal, and Everton away. And I don't know if you've seen the way Pickford's playing this season. That's got draw written all over it. We're not going to beat Everton. Like when it comes down to a manager, you earn your money by in-game changes. And he takes off our better player for fucking Madison and keeps... Oh, don't. How is Sky still in the job?
But Henry.
But why are you the only one who's calling for him to be sacked? I don't see too many calling for him to be sacked.
Like David Ornstein come out the other day and said his job is 100% safe. Now, no one's job on planet Earth, in my opinion, should be 100% safe. There always has to be an element of risk and there always an element of uncertainty. To come out when we're 12th in the league and only 1 point above the drop-off bit in the Europa League, it is madness. Oh, whatever the narrative in the Tottenham fan base is, give them the cups, give them the cups, give them the cups. We're up against the best team in Europe right now. The likelihood is we will lose by a 5-goal margin over 2 legs to Liverpool. So then come February, when we haven't had a good transfer window again, Ange Postecoglou hasn't been back, why should the narrative be that his job is 100% safe? It's fucking insanity. He is not a good manager. For me, he's the 4th worst manager in the league right now.
4th worst?
Who's worse than him?
Who's who's below him?
The Southampton manager.
Yeah, I don't know who he is.
Do you know what? No, he's not 4th worst. He's the 3rd worst because I'll take McKenna at Ipswich over him.
McKenna ain't nowhere near the bottom of that list, pound for pound. He ain't. He's just not.
No, not pound for pound, but performing this season. I mean, respectively to the club. Okay. So I definitely would say Southampton.
Well, hang on. That's you just described pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
I don't know enough about the Wolves manager. I don't even know what his name is. I know they had
Vitor Ferreira.
Yes, I don't know much about him. Sean Dyche. I'd say Ange is better than Dyche, but at least Dyche knows what tools he's working with and doesn't go gung ho. That's not me saying I want Dyche at Spurs, but who else is there that's worse than Ange?
Lopetegui was, but he's been sacked.
Is that actually confirmed now?
I thought it was yesterday, wasn't it?
When they get Graham Potter in,
or really it's there
in a couple of weeks, I would take Graham Potter over Ange. So, who else? And the fact that all of you are not arguing with me goes to show that everyone can fucking see this. But in the Tottenham fan base, the narrative is give him time, give him time. I'm all for giving a manager time if he can show that he can adapt on a constant basis.
When West Ham sack Lopetegui and they bring in Graham Potter, West Ham are going to have a better manager than you, in your opinion?
Yes, because when they win their next game and we lose to Arsenal, we could be level on. If Crystal Palace beat Leicester, which the likelihood is they will do because it's at Selhurst Park, you guys beat Southampton.
Yeah, I was going to say as well. I was going to say as well, right? if West Ham get that new manager bounce, Man United, we're home against Southampton. I know we've had some bad results, but 6 points all season. I think we'll win that game. Yeah, you man could be in 14th.
Yeah, so if we're 14th, 15th, then
hang on. They won't know the goal difference is there. Palace are only 3 points behind you as well.
And they've got Leicester at home next week.
But their goal difference won't do it. But a couple of defeats on the back, you could end up in 15th in the next 2 weeks.
How many points
is my point? And what turning point? Like I said this to George. George said he doesn't want to sack Ange because Ryan Mason comes in. And I agree with that. But at the same time, what's going to be the turning point in the masses at Tottenham to say this squad is nowhere near 15th in the league? Yes, we've got injuries, but it's not 15th in the league, is it? Let's just be brutally honest. Like I know it's nowhere near Champions League level. It's anywhere between, for me, 7th and 10th, I would say this squad is. I'd probably say 8th. We're probably about 8th.
But with the injuries, we look at your second unit and it's literally a bunch of kids.
Yeah, but then again, we had a fully fit team. We lost to Crystal Palace. We had a fully fit team. We lost to Ipswich.
And that's where I will agree with you. I know there's injuries now, but a lot of your flaws with it. I said the same thing about Ten Hag last year. You saw the flaws with the full team and without it. Things just got worse with the injuries. I agree. Let's do some super chats here before we touch on Chelsea. Terry, I dreamt that Spurs won the Carabao Cup on penalties, but versus Liverpool. Maybe that means they win the semi-final. Can you imagine? Question from most to least favourite to win the League Cup amongst the semi-finalists. Well, so least favourites, I'd go Spurs.
Yes.
Spurs.
I'd then go Newcastle.
Newcastle, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd put Newcastle above Arsenal, but I don't know. That's bad.
Now, do you know what? I get your point. You might think they go for instead, but I'm thinking about how they would all do in the final. If you look at Arsenal's final records, very good. Liverpool have obviously got a very good final record. The other two, the reason they have to be second and third and fourth is both of them when it comes to finals, not so great. Semi-finals, not so great. So yeah. Afternoon has Liverpool to win the League Cup, but want to see Arsenal versus Tottenham final. Tottenham, yeah, listen, I agree with you. I want the North London derby in the final just for the drama of the day, the toxicity of the day, being able to sit on the outside and look in and watch. Oh my God, it'd be a thing of beauty. Newcastle are favourites. This is from an Arsenal fan. Says Newcastle are favourites to go through based on form and the overall squad status. They have been underachieving so far. Their team can do much better.
To be fair, he's always pessimistic though. I get it.
The pronunciation police are here. That says say that it's Mbumo, not Mbumo. Do you know, I think that some of that is as well. I think some of that is accents as well. But Mbumo, cool. Sorry, apologies. Liverpool's defense after the City game has been like Swiss cheese. Are you mad? Yeah,
we were talking about the whole season.
Yeah, whole season, absolutely. Spam pussy in a tree for that fraud on below the QR code. Yeah, that's for Sam. Missing in action. Question for the panel: can Newcastle replace Spurs as the top 6 over the next 10 years?
I believe the question should be: can Newcastle replace Aston Villa?
Hang on. What are we doing here? Like Newcastle, as shit as we've been, they haven't won anything in nearly 60, 70 odd years.
10 years, he said 10 years.
I don't care. Like, they won't. They will not win the League Cup, and they probably won't win a major honour, or at least a big major honour in the next 10 years.
What's the difference between you and Aston Villa and Newcastle, though?
We already had this discussion, and Terry wiped the floor with my debate.
Yes, I ruined it.
Aston Villa have got a lot more silverware, but I'm not having Newcastle.
With Newcastle with a title.
Okay. How about this? Nottingham Forest.
No.
Yeah, I've got 2 Champions Leagues.
They've got 2 Champions Leagues.
And the FA Cups and League titles they got.
They let's not forget they were in the Championship. I think that does go against you.
For a quarter,
so were Newcastle.
Quarter of a century. They were there for a quarter of a century, give or take, I think. But let's just look at. I want to look here at the honours, Forest. So they've won See, this is the thing, right? They've
basically
won
had one successful period under Clough.
Yeah, they've won one league title ever. They as in top flight league title, one league title in 1978. They won the FA Cup in 1898 and in 1959.
Yeah, I'm not.
They won the League Cup 4 times, to be fair. They won that twice in the 70s, twice in the 80s, back to back. And then they won, in fact, European wise, this is good. Back to back Champions Leagues. They won the Cup Winners' Cup in 79 and came runners up in 87. So they've won 3 because the Cup Winners' Cup was big. Sorry, no, I'm a lie. That's a European Super Cup, not Cup Winners' Cup. Sorry, my apologies. So they've won 2 major. The Super Cup's the Charity Shield. We don't include them in this conversation. So yeah, they're not bigger than Spurs, even with those 2. If we're talking European pedigree, they sit both Arsenal and Liverpool. Sorry, Arsenal and Tottenham down. You both sat down on
look
that
at
one.
Newcastle's.
Oh, fuck me. Hang on, let me get out.
They've got a lot of league titles, but they haven't won a league title since before like Hitler invaded Poland. So
so they won, well, they say a lot. They've won 4 league titles. The last 1905, 1907. I mean, their first 3 were before World War One, I think. Before World War One. And then they won one in 1926, 1927. It's mad to think when they won their 4 league titles, as you said, the world didn't know who Hitler was. That's what's crazy, right? They've won the FA Cup 1, 2, 3. They won 6 FA Cups, but the last one was in my dad's year of birth. They won it before he was born in May 1955. They've never won the League Cup. They've been runners-up twice. But it's not even that with Newcastle, right? So they were runners up in the FA Cup quite a lot in the 19 I'm not the 90 in the 1900s. They won it. They were runners up. Then from 1911, okay, they then were runners up again in 74, and then runners up back to back years 98, 99. They haven't even been to a final up until the Carabao Cup since 1999. So since 1975 until now, so 50 years, they've been in 5 finals and they've won none of them. So yeah,
they're not bigger.
So, do you know what I'd say? Like based on their current team, then you might put them above Spurs. If you're just looking at like heritage of the club, Spurs have won more finals in that time. To be fair,
we've also lost more.
But that's also why I think they're going to be hard to beat in this tournament, because that record is why they're so hungry. They are ravenous.
How many away fans are they bringing down? Because they always travel well with their away
cup games are always bigger. They'll have like not a third of the stadium, but they'll have like a quarter of the stadium. They'll have a massive section. It'll be the whole back section where the hooligans normally sit. Pessimistic. It's realistic. Egal. Stop name calling and open your eyes. He also says,
I don't think calling someone pessimistic is name calling. Is that?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say it's name call. It's not pejorative, is it? Saying someone's pessimistic.
Well, it depends. If you think that he's pessimistic, but he believes that he's being realistic, then you guys can't see eye to eye because you operate under 2 different circumstances.
This here, Henry, my last question was not banter. It was based on both clubs' owner ambitions. Look what City achieved in a decade. It's true. It's a great point.
Yeah, it is a great point, but I just can't see it happening with Newcastle.
Yeah,
I think there's more chance of Tottenham winning. I would argue that Tottenham will win more major honours in the next decade than Newcastle.
0-0. Then is it?
Probably likely to be 0-0.
I wouldn't make that bet.
Can you imagine? Before the end, I want to touch on Chelsea. Obviously a disappointing weekend, David. Obviously, we spoke to you on the match reaction show, really, and got your views on it. Anyone there got a take on Chelsea? Is this just a little blip? But I see some people are trying to attack it, and Moresca's going to have his second half of the season collapse like at Leicester. You're smiling there, Henry. Did you think this is more than just a blip for Chelsea with that little smirk on your face?
No, I'm not smiling. I'm smiling. I don't think it's going to be a huge blip, but it just reminds me of the confidence that David had when they played Ipswich, and then it all backfired. And kind of since then, it hasn't really gone to plan, has it? Well, Chelsea's a weird one for me because there's a lot of Chelsea fans I've seen on the socials screaming at Enzo because he's not using his bench and like he's not utilising his squad to full effect. But the games they've played, they've got to be winning some. Fulham, Everton, Ipswich, and Palace. And that's twice this season they have not beaten Palace. I think they've got to bring a centre-back in. That has got to be the priority. They were linked today with Gahey. I think he'd be a good sign in returning to Chelsea. But if they don't do any business, then I would be slightly concerned if I was a Chelsea fan looking at that, at the injuries they've got a centre-back. But it is quite enjoyable to see some of the Chelsea fans, not necessarily David, but some of the Chelsea fans coming out there with Dwayne Johnson level chest. And now it is just slowly being reeled back in. But now they've put their jackets on, and now they're covering up their chest. I don't know what the fixtures they've got coming up, but if they don't sign a centre back this window, I would be astonished, because they have got to. They look so weak at the back.
Our next two league fixtures are Bournemouth, which is issue, and
game.
Wolves, who are like
Is that
not we don't know what they're like, but they seem to be better than they were. So is that again two not easy games. I just think it's funny because, as I do say, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The average football fan, the ones who don't watch the Terrace, I have to put that in before I say it. Isn't that right? So like they've for some reason people genuinely thought that we were in a title race, even though 4 months before they were saying that the club's finished and they'd have no idea what they're doing. So I was, again, to me, someone who can be objective about their own club, this kind of doesn't surprise me. If you watch those games back, we win most of those games again. The Fulham game again should have been 3 or 4 goals up. Typical Chelsea. It doesn't happen, and then Fulham come back and then Harry Wilson scores his goal, whatever. The Everton game was actually more. They were actually very good defensively. Again, probably should have had a penalty. Is what it is. That's football. It happens. And then Ipswich was never a penalty. That was awful. That was actually genuinely awful. That was literally a dive. And then again, we don't win the game. Is what it is. And then the last game should have 1-0 up, comfortably winning the game. Should have made it 2 or 3, and then we don't. So ironically, this sounds like exactly what I sounded like 12 months ago. So it doesn't really, again, this kind of issue of Chelsea not being able to finish games off isn't a surprise, because we're still working with the same players that we had last year. We didn't bring somebody in who's meant to be a killer, and then they're not a killer, and that'd be a different issue. We kept the same, like the main forwards, and then we added Sancho and Neto. They're not goal scorers, they're creators.
Are people kind of blaming Jackson, do you think?
Well, Jackson deserves to be blamed. The last couple of games, he's missed very opportunities you'd expect him to score as a main striker. If you think Jackson's good enough to be our main striker, as in like a league winning striker, then you have to call him out for these last 4 games, because he's not been good enough.
You know what? I'm not surprised Chelsea are having a little bit of a dip right now, because with being halfway through the season, teams have a little bit more of a sample size. They know how you're going to play, and they're now a little bit more used to what you're going to do under the new manager. And also, teams are taking you guys a little bit more serious now that you're higher up the Premier League table, where the last couple of years, teams were kind of coming up to your ground, or you're going to their ground, and they're just playing their football. Southampton tried to do that. You slapped them. So teams are now being a little bit more cautious. And with cautious teams, you're going to face a little bit more low blocks, 5 at the backs, 3 at the backs, more defensive football, and you're going to struggle to break them down. It's by design, the way that they're playing. It's not necessarily Chelsea's attack is terrible. Their game plan is working to a perfection, and when these teams like Crystal Palace are getting a draw against Chelsea, or these teams over the last couple of weeks are getting wins from Chelsea, the reason why Maresca is being called out is because he's not later in games when your players are huffing and puffing and they're tired. I'm told from Dan, you guys have good squad depth. The manager doesn't seem to trust them.
Well, the thing is, if you look at, I don't know what's happened to my camera, by the way. If you look at our bench from Saturday, we didn't have one midfielder on it. So Enzo couldn't sub on a midfielder, unless you want to count Renato Vega as a DM, but I don't think he's a DM. I think he's more of a fullback.
He's played
before. And as I've said before, I said it in the group chat. I don't think the pivot of, well, it's not really a pivot, because again, it kind of it changes. But Enzo and Caicedo as a midfield 2, it's not good enough to sustain it for long periods of time. The when we were doing really well was when it was Caicedo and Lavia and then we had Enzo further forward. That's when I thought Chelsea were playing their best football. And that's because Lavia and Caicedo as a pairing works way better because they cover up for each other's gaps. And then Enzo was able to play further forward and progress the ball a lot better. When it's just Caicedo and Enzo, you kind of leave yourself a little bit exposed where Enzo's, yes, his defensive work rate's improved, but he's not a Lavia. So it doesn't cover up that hole. So when we're in the transition, we concede so much more chances. When it was Lavia and Caicedo, teams would try and counter, but we could cover so much more space and we could win the ball back. Surprisingly, Lavia went down in the Spurs game, and ever since the Spurs games, when the form's dropped. Again, I feel like if you're watching Chelsea and you actually understand what's going on, these kind of issues, it kind of makes more sense why we are conceding more chances on goal. But again, some people don't want to look. Some people just want to shout at a manager or go and be very basic, which I like. You can do it if you want, that's fine. But then ultimately, you're just guessing at this point. If you actually want to talk about football, then I think the fact that we were facing teams that were playing us in a low block, and when we had the ability to put Caicedo at right back and then move him into midfield and have him invert and then play Enzo further forward, it just gave us a far better base to play off. So that's my personal opinion on it. But I think if you're looking at these past 4 games and your conclusion is Maresca's not a good enough manager, or it's all going to fall apart, or how come Enzo wasn't able to sustain what he showed me before? I just think you're looking at football in the wrong way, because you can't skip these kind of things. You just can't.
How do you see it, Nobbins? Do you agree with that? Do you feel like there's almost been an overreaction to this poor run of form by Chelsea?
Yeah, I was just about to say, following on what David said, totally agree. It's Maresca's first season as a top flight manager as well. It's his first season with Chelsea. So there's going to be teething issues. There's going to be learning curves. There's going to be, runs where you maybe don't play as well as you would like to. So yeah, I don't think it's an issue at all. I think, Chelsea did a lot better in the first half of the season than I thought they were going to do. Maybe the average mean will even out, and maybe they'll finishing maybe closer to 4th or something, rather than the 3rds that they look to maybe end with. It's not a problem at all. No, it's absolutely fine. It's a relatively young team. It's a relatively inexperienced manager. I don't think it's a problem that there have been some lackluster performances recently. Teams are allowed blips, especially if it's a team which has got a manager which is in their first ever top flight season. If it continues, from now until March, then it's a different conversation, because then there might just be something fundamentally wrong. But it's only 3 or 4 games. I would not be panicking right now, to be honest.
No, I think that's right.
Another thing that I found quite funny, it was again, if you looked at the underlying numbers, Chelsea were never functioning at a league title winning rate anyway. So the problem is that because we were overperforming, if you don't look at those numbers, you just see, Chelsea keep winning games. They're gonna keep winning games. So now it's kind of gone the other way, where the games are a bit closer, but instead of winning them before, you're now losing them because you're losing out just slightly in an area, or your player doesn't finish a chance that they should do to make it 2-0 and change the momentum of the game.
Yeah,
that small shift can just cause people to change their opinions, because we are just very instant gratification now. So people just can't wait.
Yeah, just on that, Dave. Last thing from me is just because you brought up underlying numbers, they're absolutely spot on. Defensively, your underlying numbers, in terms of what you've expected to have conceded, it's actually worse than City's. It's mid-table. So you're operating with in theory, a mid-table defense. So yeah, if anyone thinks that you can actually win the title with that, is mad. As Henry said, you need a centre back at some point to go to the next level. That's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Romano's just retweeted his Gahey tweet, so that kind of tells me that deal's a lot closer down the line than the original tweet. If they bring Gahey in, I don't think Chelsea will have a problem at all finishing top 4. I think the top 4 will be Liverpool, City, Arsenal, and Chelsea, in whatever order you want to put it in. That would definitely be the top 4.
Yeah. Listen, look, I think Chelsea's is a blip, and they'll get through it. As you say, I think most Chelsea fans know they need to improve that back line in multiple ways, and a signing like Mark Gahey will go a long way to securing them Champions League football. And I know it's a shame Miguel had to leave, but that's why I look at the transfer window as being important, because Chelsea can ignore that until the summer, but that might cost them 50-60 million pound in Champions League money, because as you say, they've been, I know that some people are calling you out here for saying they're overperforming their kind of midfield numbers, but there is an element of truth to that. And ironically, he gets a lot of stick, Sanchez, but Sanchez has saved quite a number of goals in recent games. A lot of really good saves from him as an example. But what you really want to win the Premier League, what you really want to be a top team, is your goalkeeper not being forced into making so many. In those years where David De Gea was looked at as the best in the Premier League, it was great that he was making the saves, but I was frustrated that he was having to make so many saves in a game. And I think that's a 1-0 Nottingham Forest. Wow, this team is serious, mate. Gibbs White back at his old ground as well. Crazy. 1-0.
Yeah, the thing is, again, when it comes to Sanchez, one thing again, this is why you can't purely do stats and you can't purely do eye tests, because I think you need both of them to work. When you watch Robert Sanchez, you can see he makes great saves, and that's brilliant. But his lack of ability to be a sound goalkeeper who doesn't make mistakes and doesn't put your defense under pressure is something that will cost Chelsea points, and it already has. When I look at the Crystal Palace situation, I look at the game situation, where we are, how the game's going, and I look at Sanchez and go, if you could go back, you probably would just pass it to Joshua Chempong, because he was, or it might have been Cole, I can't remember, but you would have probably just passed to the centre back and let it play out. Instead, what he tries to do is he tries to go, I'm going to ping this into Cole Palmer, and then we're just going to hope that he does something magical. And by the time the ball's got to him and Palmer's taken a touch, he's already got two people on and he loses him. Yes, Palmer can play it, maybe Palmer sees the two people coming a bit earlier and then he can play it off them whatsoever. But again, I'm not going to, for me to go at Cole Palmer is crazy, because he's the main reason why we're even in this situation in the first place.
Yeah.
But literally, it's not one of those things. I'm not blaming Sanchez for that, but it's just one of those things where it's the reason why Man City was so good when Edison was there was that Edison, when he was playing, whether he had to do it or not, or Edison knew that if I play the ball in this position to this player, it's going to allow them to do this. I don't think Robert Sanchez is doing that. I think Robert Sanchez is seeing someone open and just pinging it, but he's not thinking about what pinging it to that person actually leads to. And that's where I think it becomes a problem.
Yeah, well, and that's probably that kind of level of it's decision making, but it's your ability, it's your mental capacity within the game. It's why the very best players are so good, because they see, some players play, and goalies included, play drafts. Some are playing chess, and they can see more moves ahead of themselves, and there's a lot of truth to that. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show today. Nobbins, Henry, David, obviously, thanks for being on the show with Gal and Pete earlier on. This video is going to redirect you through to A-listers on Hussam's channel, so go and make sure you are watching that. Go and spam him as well for not being on the terrace for a couple of days and avoiding the humbling he got by Man United yesterday. So go spam him over there. Until next time, everyone, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.